Ο επόμενος καλεσμένος μας για απόψε θα είναι ο κύριος Federico Tata Nardini, που είναι Chief Financial Officer της εταιρείας Iron. Η εταιρεία Iron ασχολείται με την παραγωγή και πώληση ηλεκτρικής ενέργειας. Παρακαλώ, κύριε Tata Nardini.
Dear Ambassador Briard, dear key speakers, dear Athens University of Economy and Business, and dear Energy and Sustainable Club, dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to invite us. I have a tough challenge to speak as a CFO of an industrial entity after such very good presentation. As CFO, I will try not to smooth a bit the presentation because I heard very nice words that have been used first. So you could apologize if I will jump through the presentation a different way, but it's important for me to try to transfer a message. That's why we used as title Food for Thought. Before to start, just to mention some words that have been used, like cooperation, development, research, innovation, regulation, sustainable, national and international investors, short-term growth, environment adverse, economic business friendly environment. I will try not to bother you, so the part with the figures we'll go through quickly. Chris, being ready, just a short introduction. Someone American statistic quote this many years ago, most important people. Crisis. In the last century we had a lot of crises. The first, what I thought was a big crash in 1929, then we jumped 70 years after, and the dot-com bubble burst when the IT crisis in 2000. Then we have the housing bubble, the last housing bubble and credit crisis, and then obviously the tragedy of Fukushima. Most of these are affect obviously also the energy, and I will try to explain why. For us it's very important that indeed the GDP growth is strictly linked to the energy production and energy consumption. That's why this short graph. So this was quote from Kennedy during a speech as was the explanation why the crisis in Chinese is composed from two words, we and gi. One is dangerous and one is opportunity. That for us is very important because during crisis country affects developing, affects GDP, affects energy demand, and hence affects energy production. For us, link between GDP strength and energy demand strength is not so far away. So let's have a quick look over energy sector in Europe, and then in Greece. And then I would like to share some food for thoughts with you. There are a lot of big players in the world. There are a lot of big energy players. That's some quotes. Some are Italian, some French, some are American, like EIS. Some are Czech group from East Europe. Most of them are suffering overcapacity in Europe, of course, by economic crisis and falling electricity consumption, especially in their own key markets. Some of them had and still have long nuclear position, and after Fukushima that's an issue for some of these producers. Any of them need huge investments sometimes. Most of them, and for me this is the most important key points, having political and energy regulation uncertain, in addition to fiscal pressure. Some of them, of course, are getting better opportunities in the emerging countries. So it's easy, very easy, and intuitive, say that the regulator authorities stands for one of key figures. Once we are talking about growth, we are talking about energy, we are talking about investment. That's I think we can quickly go through. It's just the energy mix for technology. European Commission, so this is a very published information. On the left side, up on the left side, there is the energy mix in 1995. On the down right side of the slide in 2010. As you can easily observe, there is a huge, important increase of renewables Here there is a stable nuclear after 2011, March of 2011, obviously dropped down. And then there is a reduction of oil and reduction of an increase of gas. Obviously, we are interested in the country that we are working on and we are talking about, which is Greece. I can show you, we can go through, that's not the most important. This is the production in 2011, was 51.9 terawatt hour, which is the size of the energy. And in 2012, 50.5. You can see that the green part of the pie are the renewables. They have increased. And the orange one on the left are the import-export. So at the end, if we deduct the import-export, more or less, the production is stable. And this is what we consider when we talk about production in energy sector. Then we have to talk about, on the flip side, on the consumption. And the consumption, it's more or less stable, a little bit decreased, but that's not the most important message that I would like to share with you. Obviously, when we talk about energy, we talk about monthly traded volumes and price increase. What is interesting is that in 2012, July, there was a peak of price around 67, 68 euro per megawatt hour. Then it dropped at the end of 2012. The first quarter of 2012, Greece showed an average price in euro per megawatt hour around 42, 41, which is good. All these variables, for me, are important to be taken into account when we're talking about which kind of technology are installed and are used to support the energy market. For example, if we can quote the rest, we know that we have photovoltaic and we have wind. For us, these are just questions. We don't have answer, of course. I don't want to show you answer. I don't have answer. But for us, it's important to understand that as much as the rest are installed or other technology which are good, very good for the environment, we have to think ahead which kind of backup we can use, because we don't have 24 hours of sun every day. We don't have 24 hours of wind every day. Obviously, we like this kind of technology, but we have to think how we can, and that's why I pointed out, secure the flexibility. The energy market, I'll show you later, is a very basic game, which in English we said win to win. If we switch off a lamp in one building, then we have to switch on another one. So the demand has to match exactly with the offer. And that's for me is the most important message that I would like to share with you. In this kind of environment, which is tough, I'm referring to the crisis, which affect the GDP, which affect the energy demand. I take the liberty of drawing your attention to underline the importance of the role of regulatory authority. Everyone who is active over the energy sector knows that the importance of the regulation. The regulation, sometimes we give for granted some concepts. The regulation is important to support necessary rules, to maintain presence of other technology. If we want to install new technology, we have to support also the other technology, as I pointed out first. To underline the importance of flexibility over our energy grid system. With flexibility, which is a concept that I learned working in the energy sector, is the rapidity to be ready to produce the quantity needed for the system at the time that is needed. Then it's important to underline that power market is a game 2 and 2. And also the backup. The backup is very important. Given that, I stress your attention that the regulatory authority cannot work alone. Needs some players, important players that maybe you should know. The players are ADMIE, which is the system operator, LAGE, which is the market operator, and obviously us, and we represent one of an independent producer. All these for me are the main players that should work together in this phase to try to find solution. Today we have, that's for me the last slide. which I try to synthesize the main concept. We have hydro production, lignite production, RES production. We have CCGT, so the gas or other fuel if there is any. For us, as technology, but not because we say so, because the technology always so, the CCGT can secure the flexibility. The energy market needs flexibility for the reason that I tried to explain before. The flexibility is important because we have to assure and secure what we call a theoretical reserve. Obviously, tomorrow we could build a big battery and try to stock the energy. Today it's not possible in terms of 50 terawatt hour that I mentioned before. So we built up a big battery. I'm kidding, of course, and we put there 50 terawatt hour. Today is not possible. That's why I put a question mark. There are studies, of course, the rest of the world, that are trying to compensate this different dispatching methodology from the RES, the renewables energy, and let's say the CCGT or more flexible energy. Still, for us, it's very important the role of the regulatory authority, which is the only one who play. Even if we are talking about in a deregulated market, or we're talking about a regulated market, the regulatory authority playing with the other players, I underline again, the independent producer in Greece, the PPC, a power public company, the market operator and the system operator, they have to play together and to try to assure and secure this kind of very basic scheme to support the energy market. Now, let's in summary try to find a point of contact based on what I said first, and the idea obviously to looking ahead to grow as concept of investment. Furthermore, as long as the regulatory authority works to try to establish this kind of environment, the private investors are attracted in respect, of course, of dedicated fund money to be invested. That's very important. But the private investors, we have not to forget that indeed they look at the profitability, which the bad word is dividend. But the profitability is linked to the energy demand, which is linked to the production, which is linked to the GDP. So still, all these players has to play together. That's our message. In summary, and I'm about to conclude the presentation. Although the situation for the time being is tough, I strongly believe that during aforementioned periods, the main energy players, the main energy authorities, the main regulators should do one's best, being ready once economic upturn will start again. It is in the crisis phase that these players has to play together to secure, that's why for me it's an important link, the future investment, to secure the future context. Acting like that, it means being ahead of time. It means attract investment and think ahead. Just to give you, and then it's over the presentation, this Heron is a joint venture, which means foreign investors as a French group and a strong Greek entrepreneur. This joint venture works, which means that it's not a matter of investors only, but also in the kind of regulation, environment, and that would also involve the policy makers, the fiscal framework, and you can add whatever you want because it's a very big framework. Thank you very much.